Hello there, friends. It's Kolby from the future. And by that, I mean I'm recording this little disclaimer about 4 days after we recorded the rest of this episode to let you know that at about 46 minutes, there's going to be a pretty sudden change in our audio quality because we had some technical difficulties. We call it Amateur Cast for a reason because we do not know what we are doing. So I apologize if this is distracting, but I just wanted to let you know that there's nothing wrong with your device, just with our dumb little microphones. Hopefully this doesn't happen again. Thank you for sticking with us. Enjoy the episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to Amateur Cast, the show where we pretend to know what we're talking about. My name is Sebastian Limon, and I am joined with Kolby Lipis.
My name is Tired.
We have the same name because I'm pretty tired too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. Yeah, we're recording the morning of after Thanksgiving.
And we both overslept a little bit.
Yeah, what time did you sleep?
What time did I go to sleep or what time did I wake up?
Go to sleep, or both.
I probably went to sleep at like 11:30, which isn't that late. And I woke up at like 9:30, but then I went back to sleep for a bit.
Well, I went to sleep like at 4 in the morning. Almost 5. And woke up
Fool.
30 minutes ago. Basically. So
Yeah.
No, I wasn't doing anything. Don't worry about it. It was just having a good time with the family. Good conversations. Yeah, good Thanksgiving. Was yours Thanksgiving a good one?
It was pretty good. I mean, yeah, it was pretty good. I played Mafia with my cousins.
Oh, nice.
It got very intense.
Oh. Okay, that was the Thanksgiving, guys. Yay. Speaking of...
That was the Thanksgiving episode.
Yes.
Tune in next month for Hanukkah.
For Hanukkah. Where we don't talk about it. Because we're not Jewish. Speaking of Jews...
Yeah, neither of us are Jewish.
We saw Borat.
Don't make that the transition. Stop it. Oh my god.
He talks about Jews in the first movie. Oh, both
He does. And also Sacha Baron Cohen is Jewish.
There you go. So, Borat.
That's such a bad transition, though.
Absolutely
yes,
not.
as promised last episode, we are discussing the two Borat movies this episode. The original Borat, which came out in 2006, I believe, and then the newest Borat Subsequent Moviefilm, which came out this year. Very relevant.
Very, very relevant. Both of them are pretty shockingly relevant.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. Let's dive into the first one. What are your thoughts on it, Zeb? Tell us your journey.
My journey with Borat.
With Borat 1.
Yes, so with Borat, or as it's actually called Borat, Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan. I think I've always known what Borat was. Obviously that iconic image of Sacha Baron Cohen as Borat with the G-string. That green G-string swimsuit or whatever. Or just very nice, my wife. Just that great character that he's able to perform. I've never been able to see it until pretty recently when it was on Amazon. And I was like, this is my chance. And it's awesome. I loved it. It's genuinely one of the funniest things I have ever seen. I'm not even kidding. I was actually laughing. Like, there's not a lot of comedy movies that make me laugh. Like, I'll find something funny or just not find something funny, obviously. But there are a few comedy movies that genuinely have me laughing to the point where I had to pause the movie so I don't miss anything. it works both as social commentary for people who get that it's not trying to be racist, but it also works for people who are racist and just think, "Oh, look at this funny man."
What?
Funny.
Yeah.
What is it? This funny native man trying to fit in America. It works
Well,
for
like
both.
native to Kazakhstan?
Or no, I mean like this. Well, I don't know. I'm talking about like that actual racist people can find humor in the quote unquote racist jokes, but
Mm.
the people who realize that it's not really trying to be racist, it's just trying to be insanely overtly racist to the point where it's kind of mocking the racism and it's satirical,
Yes.
which is what it's trying to go for, but sadly not many people get that or realize that. But
Right. Okay.
I think
Because
it's
I don't really want a movie that is made for racists to enjoy.
no, but I mean
But
that's
I
why
get what you're saying.
yeah.
It's the whole thing is just mocking the overt racism and like it's a satire of it. And Sacha Baron Cohen has talked about that. He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
I wanted to make Borat to expose racism in America, especially with the second one, which we'll get to.
Yeah, the first one is basically a social commentary on America in general, and then the second one is on American politics. And
Yeah, and it's like very much like American politics of 2020 specifically.
yeah. So when people were complaining about how the second Borat was just too political, it's like, have you seen the first one? It was not too far off. I mean, again, it wasn't about politics, completely, and it still kind of holds up to this day. But we can get into the second one later. But yeah, the 1st Borat I think is wonderful. It's hilarious. Sacha Baron Cohen is extremely underrated, in terms of like of a comedic genius. Because when people think Borat, they think like a big joke. They think it's something not to take seriously. They think it's just a guy dressing up, being pathetic, and getting reactions from people. But he's smart in doing that, and that he knows which group to attack. He knows which people to get a response of, and knows what to say to get the specific responses from them, which I think is
Sacha Baron Cohen is very deliberate.
oh yeah, and again, it comes off as silly and as a joke to some people, but to others, they're able to realize what he's actually trying to do, which I think is like super genius that you're able to kind of work for both. Not just for those who understand satire and not just for those who are racist. But yeah, that's just quick thoughts. What about you, Kolby? What do you think of the first Borat film?
Well, so I also didn't see the first one until pretty recently. Again, like you, I've known what Borat is since I was a kid, and like I can remember seeing like pictures of Sacha Baron Cohen in that G-string and like memes, like old, like 2010 internet memes, before knowing what that movie was, and like hearing stuff like very nice and my wife, and, those are I also didn't watch it for the first time until this year, until like I saw that Borat 2 was coming out, and I was like, okay, I guess I should watch it. I did like it. I mean, it's so funny. It's so laugh out loud funny. And it's just outrageous. Like I appreciate it honestly more as like a social experiment than anything else. Like I can't judge it the way I do any other films, and that's why I found it very hard to rate on like Letterboxd or stuff like that, because like it's not, I mean, there is a plot, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
There's even more in the second one, but I'm not going to judge it off the plot because it's Borat. I can't really judge performances because it's like most people in it are just being real, and then there's Sacha Baron Cohen who's playing this one insane character.
Which
so
he
it's like
commits.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it a lot as a social experiment. And it's kind of like he's just doing outrageous things to see people's reactions. And some people react to it very negatively and they're like, this guy's crazy. I don't like this guy. And they
Mm.
become like very elitist or stuff. One or two people, honestly, like there was maybe one guy in the original, like a real guy that was being pranked who like came off as a good dude. I'm trying to remember exactly, but I feel like
Was
in
it
one scene.
was it the driver, the guy trying to teach him driving?
Yes, yeah, yeah, where he's like saying some really offensive stuff, and the guy's like, no, 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 we don't say that. Like we're kind to people. And I was
Yes,
like, okay, this
yes.
guy's a good dude. But for the rest of the movie, everyone that he
Everyone
interacts
was
with,
just
even
horrible.
if they seem nice at first, like becomes like he exposes them,
Oh
and that's
yeah,
like why Sacha Baron Cohen is so genius because he very deliberately knows what to say to people and how to like get them to reveal their true selves to him.
hmm.
Um, like that dinner party scene
Oh my
is
god.
is a big one to me because like all these very kind of fancy rich southerners like act very kind to him at first
Yeah.
and then they sort of take on this attitude of like they're laughing at him and it's like a little patronizing but at least they're like being nice and then by the end they're just like yelling at him to get out, right?
Yeah.
um and I mean he's like nasty in that scene. Like
Oh
he's
yeah.
like he carries in a bag of poop. Like it's not like he's like all innocent.
He calls in a freaking prostitute. Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's insane.
yeah.
I think what also makes it insane is the fact that, or like, even as bizarre as a guy not knowing how to wipe his own butt, that they don't see it as a prank. Like, they assume that this native man is
Hmm.
insane. Not insane, but like, so far off from how Americans go by the way of life. Like, even they
Right,
can be seen as, like, I don't know, like terrible people in a way. Because at that
right. Because
point,
he's
you would
playing to their
think,
ignorance.
is this, you would think, is this fake? Is this guy just trying to pull a prank on us? But no, they think
Hmm.
that this guy is just some idiot that doesn't know how to wipe his own butt because he's from some
Hmm.
foreign country. And so they're trying to teach him. And
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh God, like, you're being pranked. This guy's not real.
Yeah. He's playing to people's ignorances because
Hmm.
he's like, a reasonable person would know like other countries know how to wipe their butt, but
Exactly.
these people have such like a you know
A
like a
far-fetched.
self-centric
Or
view
that, yeah.
that it's like okay well this guy's from uh Kazakhstan so I guess they don't have toilet paper there or like they just think it's like another planet.
Exactly. So it's really subtle. Like it's great. I love that. Um, do you have a favorite part of the movie?
Okay, yeah, so without a doubt I have like one absolute favorite joke in Borat which I had seen on YouTube like years before and I've always loved it.
Uh huh.
And I don't know what it is about it. It's just the way Sacha Baron Cohen says it
Uh
and
huh.
it kills me without fail. And it's the way he says potassium during the Kazakhstan national anthem.
Okay. Potassium.
I That's it. It's just he just goes like Kazakhstan is number one importer of potassium. Other countries have inferior potassium. That's it. That's my favorite joke in the
Oh
movie.
my god. So specific and
It makes me
random.
laugh so much. What's yours?
Gosh, if I could pick a scene, uh, that sequence when they're fighting naked is pretty amazing. Um,
Yeah, that's I was
I,
gonna say ballsy, and that
it
was like an
that
unintentional.
pun. Oh god, you literally freaking Borat and Azamat, I think is his name. I love him.
Hmm.
Are fighting naked in their hotel room, and then they take it further and expose themselves to this meeting in the hotel, and it's glorious. Oh my god. Well, that's one scene. I think it's wonderful. I love because the movie is basically about Borat coming to America to learn the different cultural differences, essentially, and making a movie because he's the main reporter of Kazakhstan, and
Hmm.
when he goes there, he rides in New York, and he's watching Baywatch on his hotel room, and he falls in love with Pamela Anderson. Right? Is that Pamela Anderson?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On the TV, and he oh god, he basically wants to marry her and be his wife, have her, be his wife, and
My wife.
all the stuff that he says. I'm not gonna repeat it.
He wants to kidnap her.
He wants to kidnap her. There, I'll say that.
And he does.
And he does, and it's awesome. I mean, it's your mouth is on the floor the entire time because it's at the end of the movie. She's doing a signing at some library or whatever, at some store. I forgot, but she's doing a signing, like with fans and everything. And then he's next in line, and he has like some pillowcase, and he has some blankets and stuff, and he has a smile on his face, and you're like, what is he gonna do? What is he gonna do? And he asks her, "Will you marry me?" Like a dumbass. And then she's as anyone would respond, she's like, no, thank you. And he's like, "No, it's okay. I don't need your permission." And then he flat out puts the bag over her head.
Puts the sack over her head and like
everybody. And everybody just starts freaking out. He starts chasing after her. The police bring him down in the parking lot.
Yeah.
"I'm not attracted to you anymore." Not. And then it's just insane how far he goes for a joke. Mm-hmm. And it works for the plot because at the end he learns to he doesn't need to love her. He ends up falling in love.
Spoilers,
with
quote unquote, I guess,
quote
for
unquote.
Borat. But again, this movie does not have a plot, and it's been out for
years,
14 years, and it's extremely iconic. So
you've probably seen it. If not, you've been wanting to see it. But
and even if you haven't seen it, you've heard a million of the jokes from it.
Oh yeah,
people have quoted it to you.
He ends up with the prostitute at the end, which is kind of sweet, but it's so wrong at the same time. It's I don't know. I love it. I think it's great. Yeah, I have too many favorite scenes in this movie. They're all like really iconic.
That scene with Pamela Anderson is like, basically the story behind it is she was in on it. Like because he's not gonna cross that ethical boundary of like kidnapping a woman for real, without her. So she was in on it, but the security guards were not. Nobody else was. Only her. So all of her security guards and the police did not realize that it was a bit. And they really tackle him onto the concrete. Like they got him hard.
Oh god.
Sacha Baron Cohen risks his own safety and health and life for these movies a lot. He got arrested. Let me look it up, but it was like an insane number of times. While filming.
Arrested or called upon for the police, like.
No, actually arrested.
Oh, actually arrested?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty ballsy.
Oh, here, a warrant was issued for his arrest in New York.
Mm-hmm.
After he, they stole stuff from a hotel room.
Of course he did.
And they spent the night in a New York jail.
I wonder if he spent it as Borat.
He might have.
You know what I mean? Like he was just still completely in character the entire time.
We should talk about that because that's another thing. And it's a bigger thing in the second one, but he's so good at remaining in character. It's insane.
Yeah.
And in this one, he would remain in character for like long periods of time, and he upped the ante in the second one, where he literally remains in character for multiple straight days.
It's crazy from right off the bat, like once he gets to New York, that he's already getting people wanting to hit him. Like, it's crazy how early on it happens. And you can even see it in his face. He's like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, and that scene in the subway very early on. When the chicken comes out of the suitcase.
Right. I forgot about the chicken.
Oh my gosh. No. Yeah, even then, he's just... When he's chasing down people to kiss them in New York, when... at the end when he's being pummeled down by police, just in character. He's never actually
Yeah.
It's insanely committed, and people don't. It makes sense why he won the Golden Globe for this. And
Yeah, I mean he commits himself harder than most actors do to an actual dramatic role. It's like if people praise, you know, these like crazy method actors like Jared Leto, like
yeah.
who I mean, I don't think anyone praises Jared Leto, that guy sucks, but um like Christian Bale or people like that.
Christian Bale. Yeah.
I think Sacha Baron Cohen deserves the same praise as a comedian
Oh yeah, definitely. And
because he commits himself so hard.
to the point where he might actually die on screen,
Mm-hmm.
which not many comedians have done, or people
Yeah.
in general. And what I find great about these compared to the Jackass movies or like Bad Grandpa is that at the end of every bit of those movies, they're like, "Oh, just kidding, you're in a Jackass movie. You're famous now, say hi." No, not in Borat. In Borat, they made it seem the entire time that he was that character. That he was a real
Yeah.
person. So they didn't find out that it was a movie until the movie came out.
Until the movie came out, yeah.
But they signed the papers. They, yeah, I mean, like, and they tried to sue, but you signed the papers. You can't do anything. you knew what you were doing. I mean, in a way, they're being tricked, but he's not like coming up to them with a camera. You know what I mean? He's making them sign these things. He's like actually tricking them in the right way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which I find pretty genius. Do we have anything else to say about Borat, the first one?
Well, something that really interested me about the first movie is why certain parts of it became iconic.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's such an iconic comedy. There are so many quotes from this movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I was surprised watching the first one, you know, having watched it so late, to realize that... So, like, the best example is, you know, my wife. That's, like, the biggest quote from Borat.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time I'm watching this first movie, I'm waiting for the big my wife scene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, like, waiting for it to come. And then it's basically said in passing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even a big moment. Like, the context of it is he's like, it's like part of a longer sentence. He's like, first I'm going to make Pamela Anderson my wife, and then I'm going to blah, 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 and he keeps talking. And it's, like, not a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember finishing it and being like, the way he says it is funny, but I'm so shocked that became such a huge thing. Mm-hmm. Like, the way he pronounces this one word that is not highlighted in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my wife. Very nice.
I guess that speaks to Sacha Baron Cohen's comedic talent.
Oh, for sure. Because, again, like,
that
even,
he can,
like,
I think, accidentally make, like, this huge, iconic quote.
Yeah. Just a bunch of them. I think it's more that the character itself is so iconic that anything that he says and does really was able to kind of speak to people in a comedic way, more so than his other films, which I haven't seen. I haven't seen Bruno or The Dictator. I've seen some of The Dictator and it's hilarious. I love it. But Bruno, which I hear some people say is better than Borat, but since
really, I have not heard that. That's surprising.
In a way, because I don't know, I feel like everybody is more open to, you know, the funny foreign man doing funny foreign things rather than a gay man and his just the way that he walks and talks. I feel like people are more open to the foreign man and acting that way rather than, I mean, maybe not now.
Bruno certainly doesn't age well in a lot of ways. But Borat really shouldn't either. It's kind of a wonder that it does. But I think it's because the satire is so clear. I think it's because Sacha Baron Cohen is so smart and deliberate in the way he does it that you recognize it for the absurdity.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, Patrick Willems, the YouTube
Oh yeah.
movie analyst man,
Sir.
he did a whole kind of dissection of like the Austin Powers movies, and he talks about how Austin Powers started this huge trend of these like singular kind of wacko characters, um, who were like very iconic and had like very specific qualities to them, like kind of interacting with normal people, and like that was being like a trend in comedy for a while, and it like started with Austin Powers, and then pretty much ended with Borat being the last big successful one, because then Bruno was like a big commercial failure.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, for one, you know, Borat's back this year, so
Yay.
I don't know what that means. If it's just the power of a Borat sequel, or if it's like it's that trend has been risen from the grave. But also, you know, I think Borat, you can see the inspiration that it gave to a lot of our currently like beloved comedians.
Mm-hmm.
Like Steve Carell, I think, is probably somebody who was very inspired by Borat, both because, you know, he quotes it a lot in The Office, and like Michael Scott is definitely meant to be a character who loves Borat, and also because like he did Gru, and Gru's voice is a lot like Borat. It's like a lot of the same kind of humor.
Yeah, it's not too far off in a way.
Yeah.
And his character in The Office is also so insane that you know that that's not really a real person. Well, I don't know. I think those people exist. I don't know, but
I think Borat and The Office get away with offensive humor in an interesting way, because both in a similar way, because both of them have very offensive humor. But I think the important distinction that a lot of people fail to realize sometimes is that the person saying the horrible thing, the person being racist or sexist or homophobic, they're the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
Right? Like, in The Office, there's a lot of times where Michael says terrible things about Daryl, who's black. But Daryl is never the butt of those jokes. It's never funny because Daryl's black. It's funny because Michael's ignorant.
Exactly. Borat, not many people get that. In which...
Yeah, I mean, Borat pushes that to an extreme, obviously.
No, that's a good point, because for people who don't like The Office, for numerous reasons, and it's fine if you don't, but some people just flat out don't like it because it's offensive, or that Michael was annoying, and it's like, well, that's the point, you know, because Michael was so far off from reality that it's funny, and you almost feel bad for him after like a second or third watch. Like the first watch, I understand being like angry and annoyed, but after like a couple of seasons, or even after some time of loving the show, you really know the character by then, so you're able to kind of see that he's trying so hard to fit in. This is a review of The Office now.
I do think that both Michael and Borat, to a lesser extent, like do a really good job of making you sympathize with a character who is not a good person, and like who thus far you've been laughing at how stupid and ignorant they are.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, I never realized how similar those two are. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I've watched The Office a lot of times, and before I ever saw Borat. So for me, it was like a hindsight thing. Like there's plenty of times in the show where he like quotes Borat, or like says like does like a funny voice, and then like watching Borat for the first time this year, I was like, this reminds me a lot of Michael Scott, and kind of realizing, The Office comes out right after Borat is so huge, The American Office.
Yeah, Michael Scott.
Like I'm sure Steve Carell is pulling from Sacha Baron Cohen.
The actual character Michael Scott would see this movie and think it's actually racist, and find that funny. Like he would actually be that crowd and think, "Oh, it's funny because
Michael Scott would watch this movie and be like, "Oh my gosh, Kazakhstan is so funny. I should go there. I should go to Kazakhstan." I could see
Michael reacting.
It's just like this.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, do we have anything else to say of Borat number 1?
What do you rate it, Seb?
I would give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's absolutely hilarious. It's hilarious. It's smart. It's iconic. It's timeless. It's wonderful. I think it's awesome, and yeah, I I can I laugh hard every time I watch it. I've seen it twice now, and I look forward to seeing it again in the future. How would you rate it, Kobe?
Like I said earlier, I mean, I have trouble even giving it a rating because whatever I rate it cannot be compared to that same rating I've given to any other movie
Yeah,
because it's a social
yeah,
experiment,
of course.
not a narrative film. Um, I'd say I'd give it an 8 just for the comedic value of it and for like the social value of it. The one thing I kind of disagree with that a lot of people say is how timeless it is, because even though it is like universally funny,
Mm-hmm.
it feels very 2006 to me.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think it feels like something that could have come out in any year.
It definitely
I think
feels
both of
of
them
its
actually feel
time.
very specific to their years.
But I think what people think it's timeless is because it is so universally funny. Like, yeah, it does definitely feel like
Yeah.
it's from 2006 or like early, but it's not like it's a certain, like, sadly how some old comedy movies from back in the day are like not as well praised as how some comedies are today, sadly. They're not able to kind of
Mm.
get the jokes because they're so smartly written. Whereas jokes today, they're
Yeah.
not jokes, it's just funny improv.
Hmm.
Whereas Borat, I feel like it's always going to be funny to everybody.
Yeah.
Not to say that those older movies aren't funny, they're hilarious. I'm sure there are plenty of older movies. Like recently with The Apartment, which was awesome. Sadly, that I don't think that would really appeal to many. Well, I don't know. Who knows? But
Hmm.
in terms of timelessness, I think that's the universal humor around it is what
Yeah.
keeps it
I
funny
think
to
that
this day.
I think that era of like the Judd Apatow produced like largely improv comedy movies
Mm-hmm.
that kind of dominated like the late 2000s, early 2010s, and I also think kind of resulted in the lack of straight comedies in the larger part of the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that is what replaced this kind of comedy after Borat. Like, if the Patrick Willems theory is correct, that you started with Austin Powers and then you had these wacky characters, and then after Borat, like, they couldn't really survive anymore. I think that's what replaced them. And me and you similarly have a distaste for those movies.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like they're not.
Um,
I mean, they have their moments, but I want something more out of my comedy movies rather than
yeah.
filmed improv.
Hmm.
I don't know.
And I'm a huge improv nerd. I love
Oh
improv.
yeah,
I've done improv for years. Um, but I think there's that Judd Apatow
yeah.
kind of brand of movies
Shot reverse shot,
replaces.
just boringly
Yeah,
filmed.
they use improv as kind of a scapegoat.
Yeah, rather than
Um,
and they kind of get lost in the improv where scenes feel too long. It's like, all right,
yeah,
let's move on.
that's an interesting thing to talk about though, because Borat is so heavily improv, but it's a different kind. You
Oh
know.
yeah. Well, it works for the
Um,
style that he's going for, which is the mockumentary.
mhm.
Whereas with a normal narrative movie, that sometimes can go off the rails where the structure is off, the pacing is off, the story meanders. Whereas here in a mockumentary, the story can go anywhere.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of movies.
Oh my god. No, we're doing a better transition than that. Speaking of improv,
Oh,
that's
there you
not
go.
even that's not that good, but okay, whatever.
But
Borat
it's better than
Borat
mine.
Subsequent Movie Film.
Borat Subsequent
Gift of
Moviefilm.
prodigious pornographic monkey to make benefit now diminished once glorious nation of Kazakhstan and
Pornographic
bribery
monkey.
Premier of United States Mikhail Pence. I don't know.
Meatball
Something like
pants.
that. What I first off the bat, now that we've mentioned the name Michael Pence, I think it's so funny that there were like news stories from early in 2020, late 2019 that turned out to be Borat
Oh
bits
yeah, that's great.
because because some of the things that he does for Borat 2 are very like public things. Like he broke into the RNC
Mm-hmm.
and made a big ruckus during a Michael Pence speech, like dressed as Trump,
Dressed
like
as Trump, giving him a girl.
these are like
Or
obviously that's gonna make the news, and so the patience that Sacha Baron Cohen has to like not take credit for that until like a year later is crazy.
or that somebody was dressed up as a KKK member, and it ended up
Mm-hmm.
being Borat,
Yeah.
which I mean, I don't know, I think it's pretty great. But so yeah, Borat subsequent movie film or delivery of prodigious bride to American regime for make benefit once glorious nation of Kazakhstan. It's a film that came out recently on Amazon. It's the return of Borat. He is here to. He is apparently has been in prison since the release of the first movie for bringing shame to his country, and now he's given essentially a second chance to kind of bring back that honor. This time he's taking his daughter, his 15-year-old daughter, or 16, whatever, and
Who stows away against his
who stows
knowledge
away
and
against his
eats a
knowledge
monkey.
because he's going to America to give a gift. It's a monkey, right? This is a chimp
Mm-hmm.
to who was it originally? Because they were gonna give it to before
It
Pence. They were gonna give it to someone else.
um I don't remember.
Yeah,
There's different politicians in this
it
movie.
was a politician they
And
were gonna give it to, and then the daughter stowed away. She ate the monkey, and now the people from Kazakhstan would like to give the daughter away, so they can bring back honor to Borat in Kazakhstan, and it's pretty great, I think. Not as great as the first, in my opinion, but it still has its iconic moments. Borat is always funny. It's still smart and it's insanely relevant, obviously, and it's kind of sweet also.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's very quick thoughts. What do you think of it, Kobe?
I actually liked it pretty closely on par with the original. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like it was a very successful sequel. Um, I think sequels have to balance, like doing like little cheeky references to the original, bringing back the stuff people love, but like not being afraid to tread new ground
Mm-hmm.
and not just repeat the original. I think a lot of sequels fail because they just try to remake the original.
That's
This
true. This
one,
was very different.
yeah, I mean, again, Borat is not plot. There's not a plot and there's not like lore, but like, it did feel like a fun new direction.
For sure.
And I hope if there's another one in 10 years, um, they do the same thing. Like they don't just redo the same jokes from this one, but they like have new funny Kazakhstan characters and they like do go in a new direction.
Yeah.
This one, there's a couple of things that it has to do because the original is so iconic.
Yeah.
Things like for a lot of it, Sacha Baron Cohen can't be dressed as Borat because people recognize him.
Oh yeah. Which is great that they acknowledge that.
Yeah, and like I think the funny like the new costumes they have for him are like a clever workaround for that issue. And I can totally understand how that would like kind of diminish this movie a little bit for a lot of people because you're like, okay, well it's not Borat. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's
It's
like he
just
doesn't
Sacha
look
Baron
like
Cohen
Borat.
dressing up.
Yeah, but for me I don't know, it didn't change that much for me
No,
him having
no.
these other costumes.
It was still the same character. In that
Mhm.
the character was kind of disguising himself. So his accents and his voices were always like a bit off, which
Yeah.
which I found very, very amusing. But yeah, this one's definitely much more plot heavy than the first one. But
Yeah, like another difference is that more of it had to be kind of scripted
yeah,
than in the original. There's kind of more sections of it that had to be like actually written rather than just like him improvising with like regular people on the street.
mm-hmm.
I didn't really mind that because
No,
the scripted parts were still very funny,
mm-hmm. I prefer
but it does
definitely the
feel
more
more planned.
improv moments, but the scripted parts
Yeah.
ultimately led to like a pretty sweet finale, which I thought
Mm-hmm.
just a great arc between the two, especially for Borat, which I didn't expect at all.
Yeah.
It's definitely much sweeter than the first one, where in the first one he kind of learns to not have to love Pamela Anderson, but what he has in front of him, which is the prostitute. But here he was kind of able to essentially love his daughter and accept her and
Mm-hmm.
stop being so horribly misogynistic. But
Yeah.
it's crazy how much I think they brought in the daughter aspect because of all of the feminist things that are happening today, to kind of bring in that aspect into the movie without it having to deal with Borat being a misogynist, but kind of having his daughter grow up in this quote unquote misogynist, terrible country and learn really essentially what women are meant to do, that they're as equal as men, they can have jobs, and that vagines do not have teeth.
So do you think they're kind of trying to update Borat to make him like a little bit more palatable for today?
Maybe in a way, or that they're kind of bringing social issues of today in a smart way. Because
Yeah.
that is something that's very modern and very talked about today, and so to kind of bring in his daughter to kind of have commentary on that specifically, I think was pretty smart, pretty cool.
And again, this movie is so much about today. Like it is not concerned with having the timeless quality that the first one does. It is only concerned with hitting hard now. Especially in the way it's kind of politically charged.
And that it
and in the way it deals with coronavirus.
transitions to the virus and everything.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, in a couple years, hopefully, I hope to God I'm not wrong on this, but in a couple years, the coronavirus will be a past memory.
I hope.
Right? We'll have vaccines and stuff.
Yes.
And so, I might have just jinxed it. God. Okay.
Dang it, Kolby.
But you know, when that happens, it'll be hard to like go back on this like and watch this film. It'll feel kind of like a relic.
In a way, yeah. It's like, oh man, remember that time?
Yeah, and I think that's okay. That doesn't bother me that much. I think filmmakers have the right to choose whether they want their film to be timeless or whether they want it to hit right now, and a lot of times you can't choose both. Sometimes you can. You know, Citizen Kane is a movie that has accomplished that because it is so incredibly specific to 1941 that it's kind of amazing to me that it's like still considered the greatest movie of all time.
But it still feels pretty modern.
Yeah, but it's literally about one dude that existed in 1941, William Randolph Hearst, and the corrupt newspaper industry of like that decade. But anyways, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that another time.
You know, well, that's one of the rare movies that has accomplished that. But I don't think that Subsequent Moviefilm is one of those. I do think it's going to age itself in years to come.
Yeah. I
but
agree.
That's okay. I mean, it'll become kind of a little piece of 2020 history.
Yeah, it'll feel that way.
And personally, I like history.
Yeah.
So
history's cool. Yeah, man, read your books. Stay in school, kids. For me though, what completely like I think is the best aspect of the movie, and that completely. Because at first I was a little turned off by the completely scripted moments, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But what completely won me back over, like 100%, like this is great, is that Borat. He's.
Oh, yeah. Should we not say that though, because that's like such a funny reveal at the very end.
Oh, we're not doing spoilers.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so spoilers. I mean, it's Borat.
Yeah.
Like, there's no plot, but I do feel like that moment's funnier if you don't know it's coming.
Yeah. But I mean,
What do you think?
I thought we were doing spoilers. That's why.
Okay, here. I'll bleep that out, and then
Let's just announce that we're doing spoilers.
right now, everybody, we're gonna give away a big spoiler for the ending of Borat Subsequent Moviefilm. This movie does not have a plot, but there is a big funny joke reveal at the end that we're gonna give away. So if you don't want to hear that, skip like a minute ahead.
Yes. Or go watch the movie and then come back. I don't know. But
Right.
essentially, at the end, this whole mission was a lie. And he was injected with the coronavirus, and freaking Borat spread it across the world. He gave it to Tom Hanks. he gave it everywhere.
So
it's
funny.
so awesome.
Yeah, that ending killed me.
That was great. I thought that was like a really genius kind of. I thought that was gonna be like the climax of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every one of his movies has like this big climactic ending, and so I thought that was gonna be it, but it ended up being something else, which is pretty controversial. And I want to know what you think of the Rudy Giuliani scene.
I thought it was really funny. I mean, I laughed at it. And I mean, I feel like it speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it doesn't even have to be a partisan thing. Like he did what he did on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you support his side, his policy, whatever. Like he's gross. He's a gross old man.
Yeah.
He like sweats brown. Like he's gross. And I thought the way that Borat exposed him, like he does everybody in these movies, was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he pops out of the closet like that
Mm-hmm.
is hilarious. But I mean, yeah.
I'm in the middle of it, because I do think it is a little overly edited, where they're adding the tense music. I mean, I'm sure that adds to the comedy, but I feel like that scene was not trying to be completely comedic, but more actually intense, because that's a very uncomfortable situation to be in.
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows? I'm sure he was actually trying to be a disgusting dude. But for some reason, it just felt overly edited to the scene. Didn't completely speak for itself, but that they needed to kind of add in music, some sort of zooms, specific camera angles to really sell it. And again, I was still like uncomfortable during the moment, but I definitely felt underwhelmed in terms of in the past where they didn't really need editing to kind of sell what was happening. It's just it's there and it's intense and it's like that great
that's a very good
moment
point.
in the beginning in the first movie where Borat is basically hitchhiked by some college dudes, and there's nothing like there's no editing to kind of emphasize how gross and disgusting these guys are. They're just being
the things
them.
they say are just genuinely terrible.
Yeah, it's just the camera's on them and it's awful.
Yeah. Whereas in this one, it feels more like a sting.
It feels like a sting. It feels almost like a movie.
Yeah.
which is not bad. I'm
And
sure
like,
that's what they were going for, and maybe in a comedic way.
yeah,
But again, it seemed like they weren't trying to be funny for that moment.
sure. Yeah, I totally get you. And I don't think there's any like defending him,
No,
but
no, I wouldn't
but
go
yeah,
as
I
far
get
to
you. Like
defend him.
as far as the editing goes, it doesn't speak for itself in the way that the first one does. That's a good point.
Yeah, but not to. It's not a terrible scene or anything in any way.
No, I mean it's still hilarious.
It's still funny. Yeah, but yeah. God, I had another thought. It just left my brain. Dang it. Do you have anything else to say
Well,
about it?
we should really talk about um Maria Bakalova.
Oh yeah,
She's insane
she's
in this movie. It's
awesome.
crazy. She just like exploded from out of nowhere. She's like a Bulgarian actress who has been in like a couple of obscure Bulgarian movies. So nobody in America at least really knows who she is until this comes
Hmm.
out. And she was like a random find. Like they had like a billion auditions for this character. And they just found her. And I don't know, apparently she hasn't done comedy before either. Like I saw in an interview somebody she said like she's only done dramas, but I think
That's crazy. She's
whatever
hilarious.
dramas she's done has taught her to commit to a character so hard that
Hmm.
she doesn't even need to try to be funny. If she can just commit to insane situations that Sacha Baron Cohen like puts them through, then she will be hilarious. And she is so funny in this movie.
She's great. It's insane
She really
that
is.
she was able to commit as well, if not more, than Sacha Baron
Hmm.
Cohen in this movie, with it being her
Yeah.
first American film. Like,
Hmm.
good for you that you're able to keep up with his antics.
Yeah. There's a lot of times where she takes the spotlight and it's like she's the main character for a scene or two.
Hmm.
And I could see how that could turn some people off, like, oh, I want Borat. But
Hmm.
like I thought she did such a good job that I
Yeah,
didn't
she
mind.
won
I was
me
like,
over
I want
pretty
to
quickly.
see yeah, I want to see more of her. She's so funny, and I think we will. I think she's gonna start getting roles um
Oh, for
in
sure.
American films from here on out. And Sacha Baron Cohen himself has like started trying to like push her for the Oscar campaign. I don't think she has a very good chance of getting nominated, but if she does, I will not be
I
mad.
won't be
That would be
upset at
so
all.
great.
That'd be awesome.
In general, I think comedy performances should be nominated more,
Oh yeah,
and hers is truly fantastic.
yeah. She was great. She she knew when to act disgusting. She knew when to
Yeah.
act, like a confused girl trying to realize what she wanted to do. It was
Hmm.
yeah, it was awesome. I really liked her a lot. I liked her character. I liked her performance. I liked the relationship between her and Borat. And at the end, when they kind of accept each other, mainly when he accepts her, and it's great. It's kind of sweet.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I'll ask you the same thing. Do you have a favorite part of this one, like you did with the first one?
I don't think anything sticks out to me as strongly as that rodeo scene does in the first one.
The
Um,
running of the Jew. Is that what you're talking about?
no, no,
Oh my God! Wait.
no. The when he sings the national anthem at
Oh,
the
the
rodeo.
rodeo scene. Oh, I'm so dumb. Running of the Jew.
No, but
That's way
I
too far.
forgot about that. Um, what do you have was there something that stuck out to you?
Oh yeah, the spoiler reveal, which
Oh, right.
that would probably
That
be my
was
favorite
great.
part of it. That I laughed so hard. That was awesome. Um,
That was really funny.
I will have to say, dressing up as Trump, presenting a woman to Mike Pence, and disrupting the entire time. But Mike Pence just stares at him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's
You
not
think he
like
was
he kind
expecting
of
more of like a kind of a big angry reaction?
angry reaction from him, or
Yeah.
just something for him to say. He just kind of stares at him,
Hmm.
sees that he's there, and continues on.
I do think there's something that is always inherently funny about making fun of politicians, and it has nothing to do with partisan anything.
Oh yeah.
Like I think whether or not you like or dislike any given politician, it is so inherently funny to see movies and TV shows and cartoons make fun of them. And I think now that's become something that is like um that has to become like political and partisan, but like um I think what's inherently funny about it at the core in just like a very raw way is just like it's insulting whoever's in power.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's a funny juxtaposition to belittle somebody who has so much power.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that was the point of it.
Hmm. And not to say that Sacha Baron Cohen doesn't like have a partisan,
Hmm.
you know, motivation, because he does, of course.
Yeah.
But like I think back to Animaniacs a lot, like the way that they would make political jokes, and they still do in the new one. Um, it doesn't feel charged in a partisan way. It just feels like they're wacky and chaotic, and part of that is um taking strikes at whoever is like the establishment.
Hmm.
So I think no matter, I mean, maybe not now,
Maybe
but
not
I
now.
think, yeah, because now we live in a time that is like very
Divided.
everything's very partisan.
Oh, I know. Pretty sad. But
Yeah,
yeah. Do we have anything else to say about Borat subsequent movie film?
I don't think so. I honestly I think I give it the same rating as the first one.
Hmm.
I again, like, I don't rate it the same way I do other movies because it is just like a big funny social experiment, and this one is even more of like a social thing than the first one is.
Hmm.
But I'd probably give it an 8.
Uh, Give it a 7 out of 10. Um, I'll probably go up if I see it again. This is just like the first reaction out of the first time seeing it. Because yeah, it was definitely different than what I thought it would be, but different's always good, and
Yeah.
I might warm up to it more. Again, it's not like it's bad. It's just not as great in my opinion to the first one, but it's still a worthy sequel to Borat and to what he does and to what it's trying to
Hmm.
say. So yeah, a lot of fun. Best comedy of the year so far, I think.
Comedy of the year, you think?
I think so. Well, I don't know what else has there been besides Palm Springs.
Like just straight comedy. So Palm Springs is probably the biggest one.
Yeah,
One that I liked, but not a lot of people did, and I get why, is On the Rocks.
I haven't seen that yet.
Um, but you're right. There isn't a lot of other ones. Palm Springs is like the kind of the biggest comedy this year, I think.
Yeah,
This is definitely the most outrageous, over the top comedy of the year.
you can't get more outrageous than Borat. You really can't,
Yeah.
in terms of comedy, at least. So yeah, those were our thoughts on the Borat films. Recommend them highly. Watch them if
Yes.
you haven't. If you have, watch them again.
So, Seb, what you been watching lately?
Well, speaking of Apatow earlier, I got around to watching Funny People, the Adam Sandler one.
Oh, okay.
It starts off good. Like it has a good premise. It's a comedian, like a really famous comedian who gets this terminal illness, and eventually, it's actually he doesn't die. Like this isn't a spoiler. This is the plot. He doesn't die. He's actually okay, and so he's wants to get his life back together in a way. Like it's almost like a new step, but it's too long. It's just way too long.
Yeah, a lot of those Apatow comedies are.
Yeah, some plot points meander a bit. The improv goes too far. And then when it ends, you're just like, oh, that was it. That's the ending. Okay, not a bad, terrible movie, but it's not like great. It had potential for sure to be great. I rewatched Titanic, um, which I don't know how you feel about. Um, it's great. I mean, it's Titanic. The love story is not the best, but I think the actual third act of the sinking is amazing, and that's where James Cameron's directing really shines, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about Titanic. Um,
I like it.
yeah.
I don't love it,
Hmm.
and I don't think it deserves all the hype. But like the direction is incredible. James Cameron's direction
Yeah,
is really,
the
really good.
actual sinking, the last act of it is amazing. It's still
Yeah. I
thrilling.
think I just don't like the script, but everything else is fantastic.
Yeah, it has its corny moments for sure. Like the actual Rose and Jack love, it's not great. It's fine.
Yeah.
But when it's kind of what do you call it? When it blends in with the actual sinking of the Titanic and all these real people, I find that more interesting than Jack and Rose.
That whole sequence is phenomenal.
It's amazing. I rewatched Citizen Kane. I was
nice,
which we'll be talking about some other time, but I was blown away. And Paranorman.
Oh, I rewatched Paranorman too.
Hey, Paranorman's awesome.
Hey, it's so good. It's so
It's
good.
a lot of fun. It's I want to make a zombie movie now. It's such a fun little kids movie, and it's pretty out there. Like the humor is pretty great. I love it. I love when kids movies kind of push
I think
it a bit.
it works really well as like a teen movie.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, sorry. What have you been watching, Colby? I've been speaking too much.
No, it's okay. I've been watching The Queen's Gambit, like a lot of people have. I'm like 4 episodes in.
Is that good?
It's pretty good, yeah. I have been watching Breaking Bad, and I know I'm so late on that, but it's so good. Oh my god. I like just started season 5 and I'm freaking out. Anyways, movies, the last 2 movies that I watched that like really, really, really stuck with me more than other ones I've been watching have been Gone Girl and Zodiac.
Heck yeah. What?
What's this?
What is this?
Is this... What is this? There's a segue here. What? How did this get here? Hold on. I'm going to step on the segue. Okay. I'm on the... I don't know why I did that like it was so high. I'm on the segue now. How do I turn this thing on? Oh, here we go. It's on. I'm right in the segue. Oh, baby, we're talking about Fincher next episode. Segue!
Heck yeah.
I'm sorry about all that. Yeah, baby. Next, okay, here's the news, ladies and gents. For our next 2 episodes, we're doing a 2-part Fincher special.
Heck yeah.
That's right. To celebrate the release of Mank, December 4th, which might be in the past by the time you're listening to this. It might already be out. Not exactly sure.
Shall see.
But right now, it's in the future. December 4th, David Fincher's newest film, Mank, which is all about the true story of the making of Citizen Kane, which we've talked about a lot on this podcast.
The making
comes out. So,
Citizen Kane? I'm so sorry.
That's
so terrible.
This is off the rails.
Oh, no.
So, next episode, we are going to be discussing David Fincher's filmography overall, in general, and we're going to be highlighting our favorite David Fincher movies. Should I say what those are, or is that a surprise?
No.
Okay.
You will not know.
So next week, we're going to be talking about David Fincher's whole filmography and 2 of our favorite Fincher movies. And then the week after, we're going to be reviewing Mank, and we're going to be discussing Citizen Kane itself.
Ooh.
The legendary.
The worst film of all time.
Kane. Yep, it's the worst. And what's the best, you ask? Cats.
Exactly.
That's what I learned in film school. Hooper, thanks for paying, Mom.
Hack. Oh, Orson Welles, you hacked. Orson Welles, more like Nor Script Wells. What?
Whoa!
Get it? Because
what does that mean?
I don't know. More like
Orson Welles, more like Orson Unwells, because this movie was so bad it made me feel unwell. Is that a word?
Sure. It is now.
Wait.
More like Orson Smells.
Oh! That's good. You got him, dude.
Get it?
Pwned.
Boom!
Oh,
Gotcha.
jeez.
Got him. We're children. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, for next week, if you have not seen David Fincher's films, that's on you. Watch them. It's now Thanksgiving.
They're
Oh
mostly
no,
good.
it's now Christmas time. So we're
Oh,
all pretty
jeez.
great.
These are not like Christmassy movies. These are very
No,
dark,
these are all dark,
grimy movies.
depressing, kill yourself movies.
So watch them in that short, sad window between Thanksgiving and December, where it's like you're living in this void between Thanksgiving and Christmas time.
Yeah, when you're back to
You got
your
a couple
reality.
days. Actually, by the time this is out, it'll probably be December already. Because I'm going to take a couple days to edit this. Anyways, see you next time, everyone.
Yes. Take care.
Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.